Hi, hello. Welcome to another episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is March the 12th, 2024. Hopefully, this episode finds you well in good spirits and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. Let's see here. It's Tuesday. Yes, it is Tuesday. Um, like I said, the day was good. Work actually felt like it went by fast, which is something I feel like I don't say very often. But like I kind of kept looking at the time and going like, oh, it's time for my first break. Oh, it's time for lunch. So like, oh, it's time to go. Like it felt good. It was a nice little change. Maybe I was just in a good mood. I don't know. But let's see. Food corner last night did it a little different for a Monday night. I made cheesesteak. I had those, ready to go, the meat ready to go. So very akin to the last time I made cheesesteak, only minus the eggs. So I had cheesesteak on a bagel, cheesesteak on a bolillo roll with some bacon. And a bunch of other condiments. Got a little weird with it. Like I had some relish on there. I had um, mayo on the top bun. I had marinara on the bottom bun. I had some lettuce. I got real weird with it since I was at home and just was like, yeah, this is the second time. Let's not be shy. But yeah, I mean, it was tasty, but I feel like cheesesteak, a chopped cheese is just gonna taste good. It's almost really hard to fuck up. So that's good. I have to make foods like that to survive, to live. So yeah, that was my meal. That was my day. Like I said, it was good. So yeah, let's go ahead and do our startup and get into some news. Gotta say, I had actually maybe too good of a pregame. Hopefully, it doesn't affect the content. But maybe I wanted to. Maybe that's what I want to have happen, right? Maybe this is my bumper bowl. I don't know. Mm. Okay. Okay. No, actually, all right. All right. Yeah, I'm situated. I'm good. I'm already overthinking. Okay. From the BBC, Haiti's Prime Minister Ariel Henry resigns as law and order collapses. Haiti's Prime Minister Ariel Henry has agreed to resign following weeks of mounting pressure and increasing violence in the impoverished country. It comes after regional leaders met in Jamaica on Monday to discuss a political transition in the country. Mr. Henry is currently stranded in Puerto Rico after being prevented by armed gangs from returning home. So I didn't know where he was. I thought maybe he might have made it back into the country, but nope. Turns out, he's in Puerto Rico. He was successful in the run in terms of like getting the green light to get like I guess some Kenyan police to potentially come, but currently they are going to be standing down as his resignation, which I mean we're probably gonna get to in a second, but that might be for the best. But let's see here. I think here's a quote from him. Yes. I'm asking all Haitians to remain calm and do everything they can for peace and stability to come back as fast as possible. Um, and adding, he said his government would resign following the installation of a transition council. So I gotta say, I'm surprised. Barbecue, the gang leader, I stated before, like he had a list of demands, and essentially he was talking about saying, hey, like we need a complete new government. Like Henri needs to step down now. Like no elections, none of this. He keeps putting this shit off, and it's time. He needs to step down. They all need to step down. So I was surprised that they're like actually that a group of countries met and said, okay, we're gonna give them what they want. I was like, whoa. But you can understand that that's kind of how tenuous the situation is. But yeah, let me go ahead and read a little bit more. Yeah, he has not been allowed back into Haiti after leaving in late January for visits to Guyana and Kenya, where he signed a deal on the deployment of an international security force to help tackle violence. Mr. Henri had led the country on a supposedly interim basis since July of 2021, following former President Jovenel Moise's assassination, but had repeatedly postponed elections, saying security had to be restored first. So, finally on this topic, there's a part of me that wants to sympathize with that logic, right? Because you see how unstable, how chaotic things are in Haiti, and you go, well, yeah, how are you going to have an election in this kind of environment? Like you have to kind of have a lid on things, and then this process can go about in a proper way. But like the more and more this has been delayed, and just like the moves that seem to be getting played here, like with Moise's wife getting arrested and put on trial and all this kind of shit, it just makes me feel like I don't know. It feels like something's afoot. I don't know if it's on Henri or Henri alone or other parties or people. And this isn't also me saying like, oh, maybe the gangs or maybe barbecue spitting. No, I once again I think all parties are probably all bad actors here in a way. But I was still so surprised to see this unfold like so. But hopefully this transition council will be good and it'll lead to hopefully something. But it's also confusing because it's like, well, clearly now the gang is a coalition of gangs now that have kind of, been making these kind of moves and are now, been more powerful than police, more or less. The police are kind of doing the best they can to kind of suppress the worst kind of things. And there has been a lull, I think as a past, like, I don't know, maybe like 24, 48 hours, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see if I can read a little bit more here. Let me see here. There are now questions over what will happen to the 1,000-strong UN-backed security force Kenya is expecting to lead in Haiti to try to restore order there. The top civil servant in Kenya's foreign affairs ministry has told the BBC that its deployment of police to Haiti has been put on hold following Mr. Henri's resignation. Now, the U.S. has said it saw no need to delay the mission, which I love that. That is a classic American moxie of saying, hey, we're going to throw money at this. You guys are putting actual bodies on this. That sounds like it's going to totally do the job. Law and order is going to be restored. Yeah, just go get to that. And it's like, dude, these are 1,000 police officers against a new formed coalition of gangs. Like, to me, what is being described is like a bad Expendables movie with no Sylvester Stallone, like no cool actor. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't think that's gonna work. Like when you hear other people, they're saying, yo, this is something that's been tried before. You guys put in peacekeepers or some extra force from outside, and all these people do is do nothing and wind up exploiting us in our own way. It's almost like you're introducing a new gang into the equation, and the people are still in peril in Haiti. So I can understand the hesitation to maybe not do it, especially when it's like, oh, the guy who just came here to get us just got Game of Thrones out of here. So I mean, granted, he's still alive, but I mean, shit, he's no longer now in power. Like the gangs made that happen. Barbecue made that shit happen. So this was a pretty big development. I know I'm kind of toiling around on it, but hey, we'll call it covered. They do have some basic facts about Haiti, which feel free to check out this article and, learn about. Anyway, let me move on to the next beat, though. Actually, I'm going to take a sip of water because I feel like I need it. All right. Our next story comes from The Guardian. British hedge fund trader goes on trial in Denmark, accused of £1 billion fraud. Whew. So yeah, I love a good fucking scam, and this one was new for me. I've never heard of this. I believe the term is Cumex fraud, or just Cumex is the term. I want to read that out actually before we get into the meat of it. It's also, I believe, called cum fraud, but the practice was named after the Latin term cumex, meaning without, because the stock was sold with but delivered without a dividend payment. I just needed to get to that part because it's going to make me giggle whenever I say cumex or cum. Granted, they say that for the end on The Guardian, but I mean, that was just like, okay, I'm in. You see, there's a cum fraud? Okay, yeah, tell me more. A British hedge fund trader accused of defrauding Danish tax authorities in a £1 billion scam has gone on trial in Copenhagen, with the government hoping to recover the money in the blockbuster case. Sanjay Shah, who was arrested in June of 2022 in Dubai, where he was living, is accused of running a 9 billion krone or 1.3 billion pound scam that enabled companies he controlled to fraudulently claim Danish tax refunds between 2012 and 2015. The 53-year-old pleaded not guilty on Monday and said he had not violated Danish law. Shah could face up to 12 years in prison if the Glostrup District Court in Copenhagen finds him guilty. The United Arab Emirates extradited Shah in December after lengthy negotiations, having signed an extradition treaty with Denmark in March of 2022. I feel like that's saying something in and of itself, that like your financial crimes are so bad that like Dubai is like, yo, we can't save you. Like, well, we can't protect you. you're so out of pocket that we kind of have to let them take you, bro. Sorry about it. But let me try to like, and it's so hard for me to describe what he did. But there is a I should link it, but I'm not. Oh, it's gonna play. I don't want it to play.
The more I read about it, the more
Okay, sorry about that. But this is it's a YouTube video that is how an employed trader became a $700 million exile. It's from Bloomberg Originals, but it does a really good like 12-minute breakdown of what he did, and I really appreciated that personally. But the prosecution claimed Shah used a well-designed and organized fraud scheme to submit more than 3,000 applications to unlawfully receive more than 9 billion kroner in dividend tax refunds from the Treasury. So, like, he would put out these applications, and then he'd put them out through, like, a bunch of his other companies that he controlled. And, like, some of these companies didn't even know that this was happening, I guess. But, essentially, he'd flood the zone, if you will, with these things, with these applications. Then both companies would demand refunds, get refunds. He makes money. That is the newsstand breakdown of what he was up to. And he was making a lot of money off of this shit. Like, it seems like he was, like, siphoning up to, like, billions of dollars. I don't, you know what I mean? Obviously, the pound is worth more than the motherfucking dollar. So that's a lot of money. That's a lot of doubloons. And he was able to just, like, and this was banned in England, London, or whatever the fuck. And also, this is illegal to do in America. But I think he kind of learned this shit from doing trading, made his own hedge fund, like, went on his own and was like, oh, I'm just going to do this in other countries, in other European countries. But America's involved, and like I said, several other European countries that also want a piece of this guy. So I believe Germany is also a big, country that's like, yo, yeah, we definitely want a piece of dude. So, I mean, he definitely was getting away with this in a way. And then I think one of his partners or whatever was caught and is now implicated in it. Let me see if I can find it here. Yeah, Shah's former assistant, Anthony Mark Patterson, recently decided to plead guilty to being an accomplice. On March 1st, the Briton was sentenced to 8 years in prison. The court may call him as a witness in Shah's case. During his trial, Patterson said he was thrown into deep water as soon as he was recruited to Solo Capital, the investment fund that Shah founded in 2013 and headed. By the autumn, when I fully understood the internal work processes, I became aware of the trading patterns when we had to plan the trades for 2014, Patterson told the court. He expressed his regret at having taken part in the scheme. I'm sure he's very sorry. But yeah, I just found this very fascinating that he was able to get away with this kind of scheme, that something like this is still like an open loophole that could be exploited in countries. Like, that's crazy in and of itself. But yeah, I mean, it seems like now, he's definitely coming to justice. So, hopefully I'll keep you posted on what comes next. But speaking of keeping you guys posted, I got some. I mean, yeah, you can say silver linings playbook here. Some somewhat good news, but obviously we're going back to a sad situation. From CNN, Uvalde police chief abruptly announces resignation days after report cleared officers in massacre at Robb Elementary School. Hours before the Uvalde Council was expected to reject a report clearing local police officers of wrongdoing and the Robb Elementary School massacre, the city's police chief abruptly announced he is resigning. Chief Daniel Rodriguez was on vacation and was not in Uvalde, Texas, on May 24th, 2022, when a teenage gunman was left unchallenged in the school for 77 minutes, but had assigned Lieutenant Mariano Pargas to be acting chief that day. Pargas was at the school within minutes, but failed to take on a command role or act to save children trapped with the shooter, even when he was told of a child calling from the classroom to say students were still alive and needed help. Pargas resigned from the Uvalde Police Department in November 2022. Rodriguez returned to Uvalde and remained head of the force. He had stood by his officers who responded to the school and has not taken disciplinary action against them, even as families have persisted in demanding he fire those who waited in the hallway, which I think to me is the most damnable thing that he's done. Like, sure, dude, you're on vacation and you picked the guy who's clearly a dud. He shouldn't have been in charge. You know what I mean? Clearly he came in, didn't want to take this mantle. I can understand it. It's scary. There's a lot of fucking pressure here. But you froze, and that shit froze, I feel like, the whole chain of command here. And I definitely feel like it was a learning experience, because I noticed just covering this shit that police moved much differently after this moment. You know, they were much more like, we are going to neutralize the suspect and we don't care. Like, it was almost like, oh yeah, we are going to treat this as, like, you know, as we would as if it was like a black guy or something. But this is I don't know. It's one of, let me see where I want to come back to. In a statement posted on Facebook, Rodriguez says, "It is time for me to embrace a new chapter in my career." He essentially said, okay, writing's on the wall now. I see that the chickens are kind of coming home to roost, and maybe it's time for me to leave. Like I said, I do think that the most damnable thing for him was saying, oh, no one did anything wrong. Like that we shouldn't chide any of these officers at all. When it's like, no, clearly the public thinks that there's a problem here. There are people within government that are even saying, like, oh no, we need to look into this. Something needs to be, addressed. And that's why they led to an independent investigator. Sorry, I know I kind of fogged out a bit there. My bad. The abrupt announcement comes less than a week after an independent investigator hired by the city reported his findings at a packed city council meeting, and said all the officers who responded to the school from the Uvalde Police Department acted in good faith and should be exonerated. Now, I had gotten this news update, and I said, do I want to cover this? And I thought I was going to, and I was like, no, I'm just not. Like, I think the public knows that the police fucked up here. It's so redundant to me. I feel like, even though when we cover these in new things, when I have to make that rant, but of course, it needs to be repeated. Sometimes it bears repeating, if you will. But I didn't want to really do it. But I felt like, hey, the fact that the police chief finally said, okay, I need to go now, because clearly, like, the calls from my head are getting louder and louder. I felt like it was now worth rolling this in. Like, let's just talk about it all. You know what I mean? But let's see. The findings of the investigator Jesse Prado contradict reports from the Department of Justice and the Texas House of Representatives that there were multiple failures with the law enforcement operation that left a gunman unchallenged in a school for 77 minutes. 19 children and 2 teachers died. CNN questioned Prado after Thursday's meeting about how he reached his findings, but he declined to provide any answers. That's smart. That's a tactical move. I guess you gotta respect that. But I've kind of talked this before. Whenever you have a situation where it's a celebrity or an organization or a group, whatever. In this situation, the organization is the police. They go, oh, we're sorry, we made a boo boo. We see that you guys are really mad. Like, you got your pitchforks out for us. Clearly, we're going to investigate ourselves, and that's going to be a thing. And then we're also going to have the government get involved. Now, that's kind of another cog because they've kind of been, I almost feels like they're kicking their feet on this issue where they're like, oh, we're going to investigate it, but they haven't come out with a report yet. And it's like, it's been time. Like, come on, like y'all should be on this shit. But oftentimes they go, okay, we see that you guys are really mad at us, so we're gonna go and get a third party to look at us, look at this, and essentially, instead of finding any faults, this guy says, oh, I'm gonna back the blue. I mean, this is kind of me talking, of course, but like, oh, I'm gonna back the blue here. You guys didn't do anything wrong. You guys acted in good faith. Like that is a quote of pulling there. And, you know, parents of the victims are like, are you serious? Are you serious? These motherfuckers sat here, frozen, hearing the shit happen, not doing anything. What do you mean they acted in good faith? These motherfuckers did nothing while our children died. While we literally had to almost go in there ourselves. Like, what I mean, like, I'm not paraphrasing that shit. I remember watching that shit. Parents are like, dude, fuck this shit. I'm going in there to get my kid. Like, it's crazy that it came to that. So it's wild that this Prado guy was like, oh no, these cops didn't do anything wrong. Like, it just feels really bad. And I think it just kind of highlights how these third party kind of situations can go. Oftentimes, because I think that was like another good example is the McMahon thing where they're like, oh yeah, we had a third party come through, they looked at everything, but like you notice that Vince McMahon came right back into power in his executive fucking position until a criminal or an actual legal lawsuit was filed against him. And then it's like, okay, once again, that writing's on the wall. I gotta fucking fall on my sword now. So yeah, I mean, that's what I think you have this police chief kind of doing. I mean, I say fucking good riddance. I honestly thought this dude was gone, but I guess that was the Pragus guy or whatever. So yeah, I mean, tomatoes to you, Rodriguez. See ya never. Smell ya later. Anyway, that's gonna take us to our last bump, our last story. That means I'm gonna take my last break of the day. And I mean, to me, this is a treat. I love talking about this stupid motherfucker. But yeah, for all my top G's in the building, let's clock in. I guess you're not gonna partake. You know, you're an alpha male. I'm a beta cuck, so my bad. But I'm gonna take my break. Of course, what am I talking about? That motherfucker smokes cigars. Fucking silly. Fucking silly. Okay. All right. NPR. Controversial influencer Andrew Tate will be extradited to UK after Romania trial. Grainy footage from Romanian police shows a man dubbed the King of Toxic Masculinity being detained in the dead of night along with his brother, then hauled into a Bucharest court in handcuffs. Within hours, a judge there Tuesday, I don't know why I said it like a robot, approved the extradition of Andrew and Tristan Tate to the United Kingdom, where they face charges of sexual aggression in a case that dates back more than a decade. But the judge said the Tate brothers won't actually be sent to the UK until after they face trial in Romania on separate charges of human trafficking, rape, and forming a criminal group to sexually exploit women. Andrew Tate, 37, describes himself as a misogynist. He is a British-American social media influencer, businessman, and former professional kickboxer who amassed 9 million followers on X. Many of them are schoolboys, something that has sparked concern among educators worldwide. I will say what's so crazy to me, is that Andrew Tate is so pervasive. Like, he has such a strong reach that like even motherfuckers my age, I've said this before on the podcast, like it felt like I was talking to someone who is a turned person. Like, you're not my friend anymore, you're a synth. Like, I don't know you anymore. What are you saying to me right now? Ha ha ha. What is this Twilight Zone episode? Because like people like are like top G's. They actually subscribe to like this thought and notions, and maybe they don't give him money, but they actually believe in what he's saying. And like when you actually sit down and try to listen to some of this bullshit that he just is like blah 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 blahing out, you can kind of understand, because he plays to these kind of notions of like, oh, like I'm gonna be practical here. I'm gonna play to your sympathies here, like maybe where you feel like insecure or upset here, and then I'm gonna tell you why this is bullshit or why this is crazy, and he's gonna lead you along, and like you just get so arced up, and I can see how like men who are looking for something, they're like, it's the same kind of way that people get hooked on Jordan Peterson is how I describe it, which is also equally fucking wild to me, but it happens. And once again, I've been in a situation where I'm in a room with this motherfucker and I'm like, wait, you actually like this shit, you're not memeing, like, oh word. And look, at the end of the day, I'm really not trying to judge. I like my guys, you like your guys, but like, it's crazy because when you look at these fucking allegations and shit, like this is where it's like, once again, writing is on the wall. You gotta, like, clearly you're backing a loser, pal. I hope you didn't pay for the group, the club. That's insane. You know what I mean? But apparently this wasn't just a Romanian thing, which I'm not surprised. You know, these guys were literally trying to make a racket out of this fucking shit. But several women in different countries have accused Tate of rape, sexual assault, human trafficking, and bragging about those crimes on social media. Aside from criminal cases in the UK and Romania, he also faces a separate civil case in the UK. Tate says he's a victim of the conspiracy against men who embrace their masculinity. It is unclear what charges his brother Tristan faces. Both deny any wrongdoing. So yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to pull from here, because there's another article as well. I guess we'll go ahead and do a little bit of a rundown about the Romanian situation. Romanian authorities arrested the Tate brothers in December of 2022 and later placed them under house arrest in the town of Voluntari on the outskirts of Bucharest. The brothers are accused of exploiting women via an adult content business, which prosecutors allege operated as a criminal group. Authorities said seized 15 luxury cars, 14 designer watches, and cash and several currencies with a total of nearly $4 million. The anti-organized crime agency says the Tates and two other defendants subjected the recruits to acts of physical violence and mental coercion, sexually exploited them, and forced them to perform in pornography intended to reap important financial benefits. Now, I will say that they were on house arrest, but we've also covered that they've since been off of the house arrest, and they've been able to move freely, at least within the country. But I kind of want to go to the very last article that I have, and that's from Gizmodo, because this was really like the cherry on top, because like I'm glad to see that, like, hey, look, there's some motion here. Like, not only are there criminal charges in this man just in Romania, motherfuckers in UK can't wait to get this motherfucker. So great, good, awesome. I will say it's important too that the victims had to fight so hard for this shit that they like are like going to GoFundMe being like, hey, we're trying to like make sure we can fund to make sure that we have the money for the legal lawsuit that we're trying to do. You know what I mean? So kudos to them. I know it takes a lot of fucking effort to put yourself out there like that. But you have a goal and you're going to see this fucking shit through. And, you know, I really hope they fucking get their justice. But yeah, let me go to this Gizmodo article. Like I said, this was the cherry on top to me because, you know, I'm online a good amount. I'm online a lot. Andrew Tate arrested thanks to his streamer friend's big mouth. So Aiden Ross, maybe you're not familiar with him, but I love how they describe him here. A fellow influencer with legions of teen boy fans, because I feel like you have to be that kind of like brain rotted, like sweaty prepubescent kid to be like, oh, this is the kind of guy I want to back. Like, he's so cool. He like has like had a stream where like Playboy Cardi like literally just jacked him for a bunch of money, and that was like crazy. Wow, he's so cool. But like he literally like has sniffed like Andrew Tate's ass. And like I said, once again, if you're an Aiden Ross fan, I guess, hey man, cool. I don't know. Just put the tomato and just put it to your face. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. But what led to the arrest of the Tates by the UK police, which the UK I guess were involved in this. But yeah, obviously like in the arrest. But what led to the arrest of the Tates by the UK police is reportedly a clip from Aiden Ross, a fellow influencer with legions of Teen Boy fans, who live streamed a message from Tate saying he was going to be leaving Romania soon and probably never coming back, and suggested Ross should come over to hang out, as reported by the Rolling Stone, which paywalled me, so I couldn't actually read this article. So, the implication was that Tate was going to go on the run. So I really do think that, like, Tate snitched on himself by bragging to his little twink streamer friend. I just don't know why he did that. He literally just self-incriminated himself, dude. So yeah, dude, it's a shame. Real G's moving silence like lasagna. Lil Wayne said that shit. So it's crazy that he didn't take that note. You know what I mean? If you're a top G listening to that, take a real note from a real G. I don't know what to tell you. Granted, no, Lil Wayne shot himself. So maybe he's not the G that you should be listening to. But hey, whatever. You're listening to me, so that's pretty wild, right? You'll listen to anybody, huh? No. I think that's the episode. We'll call it there. I feel like I've done my coverage. I've done my due. But yeah, if you'd like to help out, support the effort, you can. I do have a Patreon, patreon.com/Isaiah News. You can come on Newsy today. That's a cool thing. Free ways to hit me up, IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me on any of the socials. And hopefully you subscribe to the YouTube. If not the YouTube, hopefully you're a Spotify subscriber, or, whatever you can do on Apple. Hit those stars. Leave a cool comment. Hit the like button. Share if you care. But obviously, you've made it this far, so I know you care. I know you love me, and I love you in a non-weird parasocial way. Like, yeah, like in a cool way that you can do. Like Pocahontas loves nature. Something like that, yeah. But yeah, thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend. And hopefully I'll see you soon for some more good news. I love you. Bye-bye. Mwah.